himself too. Ekweme, very, very well respected, right? And the way he was pushed out for Obasanjo, he really fought for the formation of PDP. Yes, collectively we didn't do our homework properly, and he was sidelined, and Obasanjo became president. We have Okorocha too. We also have what's his name from Ebonyi State, who didn't get enough delegates to even put him up front to contest for the APC candidate, presidential candidate. So collectively, I'm not talking about P2P. I'm saying in-house, we are not doing our homework properly.
Now, I think I've gotten your drift. Now, let me take you on. It is a narrative pushed, sold to you. Sadly, you're buying it. Let me take one by one. You talked about Ekweme. 3 weeks ago, incidentally, I was having an argument with someone who said that because Ndibo did not support Ekweme, that's why he didn't win. I said, bullshit. That's what you've been told. You know why? The delegates from the Southeast, had they all voted for Ekweme without exception, he would still not have won. The military architecture as of 1998-99 that decided that it was Obasanjo using Abu Salami Abubakar would not have let that play, right? So you see, when you just sit back and, I'm talking, when I say we, I'm putting it collectively. When we sit back and just basically begin to look at these things from the narrative of a third party, without really looking into details why this thing happened. What you've just basically said is like when you will sit back, someone say, if they give power to Igbo, they will be removing themselves. They removed the Pius Evans and they brought Chubo Kadibo, and from Chubo Kadibo, they brought Pius Anyim. Now you ask yourself again, one must not be daft. What happens in a state, in an assembly within the Senate where you have 108 or 8 or 9 senators, 15 from the Southeast, minors, 90-something from elsewhere? If there is a gang up against you, who betide you, you will never succeed. You have only 15. Again, it is a national decision. Before now, there is a narrative that Ndibo cannot give Nigeria one. Why was it that everybody, when it gets to Igbo turn, everybody is contesting? Why must you, listen to such nonsensical crap?
I am not listening. It's not a narrative. It is
Emeka, hold on for the guest.
Now, I'm talking now. Now, when in parentheses, it was zoned to the north, nobody had the issue that Yaradua from Katsina was contesting. Buhari from Katsina was contesting. Atiku from northeast, Adama, a lot of northerners contested, including Kwankwaso and Shakarao. But here you have a Peter Obi from Anambra State, the most prominent of them all, and the other one from Anambra, from Apka, whom one man went to the most friend, Governor Soludo, in his own party, did not support, but is willing to tell Nigerians about another person and in their party, right? Yet he had a presidential candidate. Not for one day did he campaign for it, for the individual. Not for one day did he speak in favor of the party, his own party. So in essence, I think someone wrote here that the question about political maturity...
Sorry, Mazi, why do you think that was? Why do you think Charles Soludo did not campaign for the ABGA presidential candidate?
I do not speak for Soludo, and I don't know. I think.
Do you want to speculate?
No. I do not think for Soludo. I think that is. I'm not willing and interested in speculating. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is, here I stand to tell you that the first question, do not be boxed into. Let no one think for you. Igbo have played national politics from time immemorial, and Peter Obi played the smartest politics by becoming a Nigerian president. A Nigerian president. Today, people refer to him as the president they never had. People refer to him as Mr. President. Yesterday on the Twitter Spaces or the X Space, go and see how many people that were there. You have a president that when he's speaking, people will turn up their television or begin to watch something else. You know, some will watch that. Better to watch Telemundo than to watch the so-called president, you know, the one you've elected. But that's not the bone of contention. Now, let's not dwell too much on the first question. I think your first question, if Ndibo, political maturity.
We will not agree on the first question, but you can move on to the second.
So hold on. The first question that about the political maturity of the South is, I think, you know, it's like asking if your father, you know, whether are you sure you are really matured to have me? Because this is, if you want to put it in context, tell me across the regions who have played a better and a smarter politics.
But
hold on, people. No, please. Sorry. Tell me in 1999, even when Ekweme lost, with all high hopes, Ndibo came in together, stood with Olusegun Obasanjo, voted for him. In 2003, Ndibo stood with Olusegun Obasanjo, voted for him. It was Olusegun Obasanjo from Anambra. In 2007, a man from Katsina State, a Fulani man for that matter, contested the election. Ndibo stood behind him, gave him the bulk vote. In 2010, Goodluck Ebere Jonathan, Ijoma, Ndibo gave him the vote. Even against when people don't understand this, that Ndibo can look and say, Oga Ojukwu, when you contested with Yaradua, we don't want you. Their time has gone. We do not want you. And Ndibo rejected him, voted for a northerner against their son, right? And that was
Mazi, you are straw manning a little bit. You are straw manning.
No, I am not. No, I'm not. It's okay. About political. No, the question is about the political maturity of the Southeast now. You know, there is a way. Somebody said here that the question is condescending. I don't want to think that the question is condescending. However, I want to take it in a way that we will all live here, knowing that this thing about political maturity, it is a narrative. And not in my generation would I stand and look and, you know, accept that people will keep pushing this narrative, just like what happened in the last election. Somebody will tell you that we are, you know, if we are going to be one federation, why do you then have to tell me, go back to the Southeast and vote? Yet when it comes to census, you will now want to tell me, oh, stay here, we are one Nigeria, let everybody be counted.
So, Oman, would you pardon me to push?
No. After let the guest speak.
Don't worry, I'm bringing it the way they hot. Don't worry. Now let me leave that one. If the political maturity is what is an issue here. Now the question of the release of Nnamdi Kanu, would it lead to or result to peace? Like I don't know if you listened when I was speaking. I acknowledge the presence of Dr. Damages here. And when I was driving through his community a couple of weeks ago while he was in Nigeria, and I had that conversation, I followed that conversation in a shuttle bus coming from Onitsha to Nnobi. And it was a very striking conversation, you know, because sometimes, you know, this is what I do. I take the public transport, talk myself somewhere and listen to conversations, feel the pulse of the people, understand the thinking of the people. And this is what the people were saying, that in as much as there are skirmishes of insecurity here and there, and by the way, those who think that all of us in the Southeast are already dead, Dr. Damages flew from America, stayed here, went back. We are not dead, we all are alive now. And one of them said, and I repeat again, that if Nnamdi Kanu is released, it will bring down tension. And I believe, honestly, that he must have learned one or two lessons in terms of, you know, creating narrative and manner of speech and that within this period of time, all the visits and intervention he have had, that things might be different. That's me now speculating. Hold me to that. Now to the third question, he say, are the political leaders behind the South, the insecurity in the Southeast, and why are they not speaking up? Again, that is another narrative that is not right. Mazi Ezeoke, if you consider that people can be leaders without having any elective post, pardon me to squeeze myself into somewhere of leadership within the South. We have been speaking up. Professor Biozo of blessed memory spoke up against all the injustice, all the killings in the Southeast. Dr. Nyamodo spoke up against and still speak up against the killings in the Southeast. Mazi Ezeoke, on so many forums, I've called the sit at home pure madness, no apologies. It is insanity. And I have seen so many people call for it. The governor of Enugu State, I hope you don't call him a leader too. Not only that he has spoken up against it, he has worked to ensure that there is security in Enugu every single Monday and every other day. How else do you want people to speak up? You know, what we are talking about is that the people.
Woman, I have to push back. I have
no, Emeka, you have to, no, Emeka, you have to.
Wait,
I will let it. I like.
Sorry, apologies, Emeka. I've set you to the back. You have to let the guest speak. Mazi is 12:40 where he is. He's had a long day, but he's really just out of love for the nation that is doing this. So let's just give regard to that. So let the guest speak. Carry on, Mazi.
So now what I'm saying is that, if we talk about the political leaders being behind, honestly, I don't think it is the case. There might be one or two individuals who may have their political issues. But to say that the whole region is being sank because political leaders my analogy has always been, and it has never changed. You cannot go back to your kinsmen meeting and you have an argument with your kinsmen. You go back home to your family, lock them up in your cellar or lock them up in your storage room without feeding them. Lock them up because you had an argument. That is insanity. So I do not believe so. If somebody has contrary, opinion, please do bring it on. Now, again, you say the sit-at-home impact and the cost. I recall that there was a time Soludo made an allusion that sit-at-home cost Anambra alone then about 1.98, but roughly 2 billion, either per month
trillion,
or thereabout.
Trillion, he said.
No. I said Anambra alone, not Southeast. Yeah. I thought Soludo's, something slightly below 2 billion per month or thereabout. So just suppose that multiple months, multiple states, 5. So by now we may be talking about trillions, right? And you can see also that the people are already also fed up. But they are telling you, I'm telling you what I hear on the street. If whether it is right or not is not mine, but that they say, well, if Tinubu releases him, and they might actually, these things might actually stop. So I do not know. To your last point, the top 10 most imported items in Nigeria, sadly, I had it saved somewhere in a note, but I'm using my phone to, I have so many things to cram, but
that's understandable. That's understandable because you said you will adopt certain mechanisms and you gave an example, right? And why is I need to push back? I don't want your narrative to begin to appear like it makes sense. And maybe when I have the time to ask you more questions, I will go back to these 4 questions and hit you properly where it matters. Now, you said you adopt mechanisms, and the mechanism you gave were vague. And I asked you, what are the top 10 imports in Nigeria? To know whether your mechanism apply, because it falls flatter on the ground. The mechanism you were talking about do not sound like they were things you can implement. If you know the top 10 imports Nigeria imports into the country, then you will know that the president is addressing the problem. but you don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now let me take you on this, Emeka. When I answered, he said it's vague. I used one item, which is machineries. Now, when we import luxury items, we import, wine.
Sir, I beg to differ. If you know
No, Emeka, no, you can't do this. We have a guest. Mazi is an important man. He's come here to share the vastness of his knowledge. So let him share it. Mazi.
So, Emeka, please, with all due, honestly, let's remain on this. The question that I was asked and what I said, I still maintain that in terms of this Forex thing, that there were measures, there were how we could do this. If you are taking out, there are certain areas that I believe to leapfrog the economy. If these areas were having direct payment, because the crux of the matter, if you listen to Lamido Saneso, former Emir of Kanu, when he talked about round tripping, it wasn't my concept. It's not my language. I'm quoting someone who is also, in the words of Dino Melai, an intellectual, mobile, sagacious entity, right? So if I quote him, what he's saying is, you go buy dollar, you sell. And I'm saying, rather than come and slam everything with a sledgehammer, can we look at where we have loopholes and start ourselves, start working it up from there? The same thing with fuel subsidy. If the reason, part of the reason so given by the government is that our neighbors sell fuel cheaper and there is people buy our fuel and go sell it to the other person, I say, well, that your neighbor is, coming to your house to steal your yam, is because you are incapable of keeping watch over your fence or your gate. But you cannot, because your neighbor somehow finds way to come and take stuff from your house, you decide to bring it down in this sense, literally. That's not I think the smartest thing to have done. But by the way, we are now where we are. These decisions are no longer reversible. Decisions has been taken. Nigerians are looking at the government to do the right thing, to push that we get there. Sadly, and I can say that for the umpteenth of time, that the government has failed flat in delivering these things because they haven't shown goodwill. And I enumerated them by the expenditure, by the way we have seen, even in the appropriation bill that is before the National Assembly, there, if in terms of the budget and the allocations, and you look at even from the National Assembly, the expenditures there. This is across board, including Labour Party, PDP, APC, SDP, YPP, and all of that. Tell me how it makes sense that when Nigerians are hurting, nobody rejected 140 million SUVs. And even when asked, the Senate president of a particular party will tell you, that they cannot buy smaller cars because they do not have roads to drive on. You know what that means? You know the consequences of that. If that was done by in the United Kingdom, don't you think that the people would have been on the street? Or if that was done in America, that people tell you that this is the way it's it just basically you're not giving confidence that you want to cut costs. There is no confidence that you're going to do. There is no even. It appears that everything is just let's just grab whatever we can, snatch it, and probably run with it. And we are seeing before our own according to Chief Secretary Ecological, that they are snatching
alias 430. You forgot alias 430. Yes. You know, Mazi, I want to have I want to have a detailed and involved, nuanced conversation with you about Peter Obi and Charles Soludo. But maybe next time you come, I'll just have
that's going to be a program of his own.
I'll have a close session with you next time. But thank you, Mazi. Let's go on to Ekene, who I think is ready for you now. So Ekene, I want it to be short and to the point now, because
can we no longer make the questions because some of you are, the questions mustn't be too long, please. Thank
you. That's exactly what I was just about to say. So be concise and to the point. You can push back only once or twice, and then we move the conversation on. So Ekene, you're up next. Ekene.
Yeah, One Man, thank you very much. Yesterday you brought an antagonist. Today you brought a real man.
What do you mean? Ejele speaks. He's listening. No, it's going to come in a minute.
If he wants to listen, let him listen now.
What are you trying to say, Kenneth? Because I'm quiet, I'll let it. First time I'm saying JJ. Anyway, respect to you, Mr. JJ. I'll be hearing your name from One Man.
I don't respect him anymore. I don't respect him at all. What, he's not have the right to tell you.
All right. Let's not do that.
Yourself. You can respect him. I don't care.
One Man, please.
No.
Hold on.
We have a guest now.
I know. I'm talking to the guest, and I'm trying to tell the Kenyan to behave himself. We are not here to sell spare parts.
No. I think.
No, for real, now, One Man. Let's call it spade.
That's my opinion.
Okay, everybody mute. It's my role to moderate, but thank you for the thank you for that. But Ekene, short and to the point. Put your position to the guest, so that we can move the conversation on. So. And by the way, Ejele will still be back because I've booked him in for round 2. But can I introduce yourself to Mazi and put a position to him?
Mazi, good evening, sir. I'm Ekene. I'm from Lagos, and I'm from Anambra State, Oba precisely. So, and thank you very much for the great enlightenment you have given. In fact, I'm happy that I waited for somebody like Emeka to have put in his position and the narrative, the explanation he have gave is just almost the same thing in my mind, especially the politics in the political space in the Southeast. The way people think that we don't know what we do in terms of politics, when they don't know where they have cheated us in terms of politics. But I'm very sorry for people like them not understanding that even Nigerian space has made it difficult for even a Southeasterner to become a candidate of the big political parties. So I thank you for that explanation. And the only thing I have to say, and the only thing I have to ask you, is about Peter Obi, because I need a clear explanation, because it's a man I love so much. So whenever I see people that also buy to his narrative, I put out this question to them so that they will soften the land for him. We make more clear road for him. We explain more things to people that don't understand him. So that man, in terms of what I understand in his governance in Anambra State, what he did in human development index wows me a lot.
All right, Ekene, to the question.
So, what more do you have to say about Peter Obi's performance as a governor of Anambra State? Did he really impress the people of Anambra State, or did he really let us down? If he did, just give an explanation of that. Thank you.
All right, brilliant.
I mean, that question, thank you, my brother. That question sounds like a campaign, but the campaign is over, though. I think, during the campaign period, Peter Obi, I believe, was able to tell Nigerians, and the facts are there, the things he did. He's no genius and he's no saint. Everybody is bound to make mistakes. But one cardinal area that's become a reference point and cannot be disputed is when you take office, your state was in a position A. You say, give me XYZ time. I will take it to position B. And for those of you who think I hate APC, I hate Tinubu, I hate anything about them, I say no. what we want in Nigeria is good governance. On this platform, when one man asked about the performance of Tinubu, I said, well, not entirely impressed. However, there is one area I pinpointed. I've never spoken to the minister in question. If I see him now, I don't know who he is. But again, I don't know. I don't need to know him. By the target he set for himself, he smashed it. I'm looking at, because these are things I like doing, holding people to account. He said he's going to do this. Okay, let's put it down. Peter said he was going to improve education in Anambra State. Did he improve it? Of course he did. The whole Nigerian saw it. Moving from 16th position or 17th position to #1 and stayed there consistently.
Atiku was responsible for that, by the way, but carry on.
Oh, man. Okay, Atiku was responsible for that.
Yes.
He wasn't able to do the same magic in Adamawa, right? But Atiku was, listen, there's something we must learn. The UBEC. For you to, if you want to do structures, improve education, there is what they call counterpart funding. It could be that states in a year could claim 2 to 3 billion. But for you to unlock that 2 to 3 billion, you must keep an equivalent of that money down. Anambra State had always, in that period of time, been the state that first goes in, drop the counterpart fund in order to unlock. So what it means is, instead of investing 3 billion in education, you invest 6. So, coupled with other things is done, because when we talk about Human Development Index, that's why you see on WAEC, on JAMB, year in, year out, at least the first 2, 3, you see them there. This is next, where if there are other areas you may not have done excellently well, but are also in terms of managing people's resources as though it is his, not commingling public resources, managing it diligently. If, this ideology and policy of, if I'm not going to spend 1 million naira of my personal money, why would I spend it because it states? So diligently managing stuff, that led to the humongous amount of money he left, not borrowed, but left, because they will spend what they will spend, but certain percentages will be left to be saved for next generation. Many, again, even on this platform, where have arguments as to whether it was the best thing to have done at that point. But imagine I didn't ask us. Imagine that millions of dollars was left intact today. Imagine the humongous amount of money we'll be swimming in, because you see where our FX exchange is now. So my brother, like I said, this is not campaign period, and it's not in my place to begin to enumerate. You already said it yourself, the things he did. And I believe these things are more he did. And that's why you probably just want to hear it from me to say these things again. But here we are. Thank you very much for your question, brother.
All right, thank you, Kenneth. So I'm going to go Ajan Lekoko, then Rudolph, then World Peace, and then Maurice comes in. But before we do that, Mazi, do you know what an ambulance chaser is? When they say somebody is an ambulance chaser, do you know what that is?
I don't know now. Translate that in Igbo.
No, it's usually lawyers. There are certain type of lawyers that they go very quickly to accident incident scenes in order then to get that brief of whatever the situation is. So Peter Obi stands accused of somewhat being somewhat of an ambulance chaser. Whenever there is a disaster, very quickly he's there for the photo opportunities. We saw him in Benue State, knee-deep in our waters, during the electoral campaign, carrying a baby, so cliche. And now he's in Kaduna, trying to pretend as though he cares. So the campaign is over. Why is Peter Obi still chasing ambulances?
Well, I think then it means you do not know him. Before maybe it might be people, with all due respect, you probably may appear to be those who just known him because of the 2023 election. But before then, here you had a man who, as the state's, governor, anywhere there was a disaster, he believes, there is a way one becomes humble and sympathetic too. I recall one time having a conversation with him. He said something that struck me, that he prefers, rather than attend weddings, to attend funerals. I said, why? He said, because this is when people are vulnerable the most, and this is when they need a shoulder to cry on. That statement is deep. Because the Nigerian people and citizens have been abused by bad leadership and a carryover and hangover of military dictatorship, we do not know what it feels to be shown love. I give you an analogy that is very, very explicit in this. You live in this place, many of you watching me this late have light to do because you live in white man's land, quote unquote. You tell a woman you are in love, how do you express that love? Your colleagues in the office will buy flowers, but do the same to your woman. They'll probably tell you, na flower I go chop. Why don't you wire me some asa? Because the mind, we grew up not understanding and knowing that when somebody is hurting, that just giving an individual a hug can do 1 million things to that individual. Because our mind has been abused over decades, that there is an incident. If you recall, during the Ikeja bombing, Obasanjo in anger said, I was not supposed to be here. I'm actually doing you a favor. That is the mentality. Now, we are now finding fault when something like this happens. A man who have spent considerable amount of time in the diaspora, who understand how life and what emotion is, begin to show empathy. We do not query those that we have elected. We have yielded our sovereignty to them to say, if this happens, we expect you to be there for us. We don't question them, but we question someone who, out of emotion, will visit to console and to lend little help that he can. We question why he's doing that, to say he's an ambulance chaser. I think, honestly, like I said, the election is over, and such statement, it may not, by whoever, pushes that, is not necessarily palatable. But let your work speaks. I recall that one of the greatest problems I had, in fact, when I lost hope with Buhari in total, was when there was this incident in Plateau, in Jos. No, in Plateau. And Buhari flew into Plateau, stopped in Jos. He did not visit the home place where this incident happened. Will you call Pastor Professor Yemi Osibanjo also an ambulance chaser? That man is a man I have seen with so much empathy and love. That is what we need. Everything is, governance is also about giving people hope. I saw Osibanjo as someone who can sell hope, who can show empathy when things go wrong, that you sit down there, that you listen, that you touch, that you feel. It heals, as opposed to, concern me after they've given me the distance. So I don't think it's, I consider that not necessarily the case here. But hey, people have their opinion, but that's the way I take it anyway.
All right. Thank you, Mazi. Ajale Koko, with your permission, let me go to Rudolph, who I think is about to run away. But I come to you, Rudolph, only really to announce that this might well be news to you as well, Rudolph. So you're almost certainly going to be our guest for Thursday. So you may not know that now, but now you do. But good to see you, Rudolph, I didn't know you were slumming it with the poor people, but there it is. Rudolph, good to see you.
Hi, nice to be here. I just I had to run. I just wanted to show my face to support cross-platform conversations, which I think is important. We have a lot of assumptions we make when we stay in our own corner of the world and think in our own way. I think I admire someone like Mazi Ezeoke because he's right there on the ground, and there are a lot of things that we who are abroad, we stay outside and we imagine things and we think we understand what's going on there. When I came down, I had a different perspective about the situation at home. I don't think anybody who is not going home frequently should be talking the way we talk authoritatively about what is going on there. I think if you're a commentator, if you're involved in this conversation, you should get home and talk to people on the ground. So I really have a lot of respect for what's Mazi.
What shocked you the most when you got to Nigeria? What was the one thing? Sorry, and what impressed you the most as well? So what shocked you the most and what impressed you the most?
You said I'm a guest on Thursday.
Yes.
Start it on Thursday. Actually, I have to run because I have to teach tomorrow. So that's why. It's not that I don't enjoy this conversation. I really want to stay and listen to you guys. I always do, and sometimes you don't know that I'm around listening. But thank you guys. I will see you if Thursday works. I have to check my schedule, but I think we may be able to do that. But thank you so much for the work you do, and stay safe. I will see you guys.
All right, brilliant. So that's the majestic Rudolph Okonkwo, who you heard publicly say he's going to be on Thursday. So we'll find out on Thursday if he's a man of his words, but certainly a man of his words, Mazi.
One man, we give Rudolph another. Well, Mazi, good evening. How are you, my brother? This is Thomas speaking. Let's give Rudolph maybe we give him the Jagaban of New York. We have to give him some title.
No, there's only one Jagaban on this platform, and it's Ekene. Ekene is the only Jagaban we have. But Ajale Koko, you're up next. Introduce yourself to Mazi, put a position to him. Ajale Koko.
Yeah, thank you, Mazi, for coming to have conversation with us this evening. I'm in United States, and I've watched you on several videos before Nnamdi Kanu was got into trouble. I think I followed you on several I follow you online. So with Dele Momodu and this thing, I know there was one kind of engagement that you guys were doing together. And that was how I got to know you. So it's nice to have you here. So my first question, you're from Abia State, right? Am I right?
I'm from Anambra State.
Anambra State, okay. Yeah. Your governor, the governor of Abia State is a Labour Party man. This is a man with a record, a man that bankrupted 2 banks in the past, but yet your party that was portrayed as the party to save Nigeria before the last election gave him ticket to represent you. Now this man delivered a budget a week ago. The budget for last year was 100 billion plus, but what the budget he announced this year, for next year rather, is going to be 400 billion plus, and 70% for the funding going to come from through
borrowing.
Through borrowing. Thank you, man. That's the right word. Through borrowing. Don't you think? And already that state is swimming in debt. So don't you think this man out to is on the move to bankrupt that state the way he did, bankrupted 2 banks in the past? That is number one question. The number 2 question is, are you satisfied with the role of opposition that your party, Labour Party, is playing at the national level right now, particularly at the National Assembly? Like I said earlier, the party that portrayed to save Nigeria, we saw them colluded with those parties, senators and members assembly of those parties that you people describe as a party that fit for no purpose, to take 160 billion for vehicle, 140 billion, and that senator 40 billion. 140 million, 160 billion for vehicle. So what is the role of opposition? Are you people playing effective role, or have your representative join them in accordance to this physiology that if you can't beat them, you join them? So have they joined them, and are we the people? What do you have for the people? What role are you playing for the interest of the people as at now? I'm not hearing from any one of your leaders, neither have I heard from Peter Obi, taking a leadership role in that respect to play a very strong opposition, the role of opposition party to checkmate this ruling party that we have in Nigeria today. I believe you are satisfied with what the ruling party have done, the way they've governed so far, but you guys in the opposition, including your leader, Peter Obi, are not doing anything for the interest of Nigerian people. So let us know what
I think,
you have.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. I think I'll start from your last question. Again, you ended your question with a cliche that is very, very simplistic to say, what is he doing? And you added, he's not doing anything. Basically, answer the question. It is not true that he's not doing anything. Since the Supreme Court's judgment, he has taken the government to task on critical issues. If you are in doubt, visit his X account, that is formerly known as Twitter, page. You will see where on the 2023 appropriation bill before the National Assembly, that is the budget to National Assembly, he took a position. In that position, he made clear, this is what the government is planning to do. This is what he himself would have done if he sat on that seat. So for a man who has been consistent, taking government to account, saying this, presenting a contrary view and a contrary position, maybe in Nigerian parlance, maybe we are used to, if someone doesn't go to national TV, to be insulting everybody, to be calling people's names, it appears they are not doing anything. If somebody doesn't do the military, sometimes that, without sounding this, but I keep saying it, it appears that sometimes the military, we have a lot of military hangover. He has done this, he's basically gone. Again, I'll refer you to that to say, go in here, you will see the positions taken so far. Now, on the reps of Labour Party, I do not have any position in Labour Party, but I think I have also as an independent mind and as a thinker of mind, as a man, as a free thinker, I have said, I am somewhat disappointed with the Labour Party members at the National Assembly. And I said this, some of them that I speak to, I've told them privately. Let me tell you, I'm a very practical person. When the argument was made that 140 million vehicles were something statutorily for their job, and I've asked, is it not possible to say, I am not going to take a 140 million vehicle? Is it possible to buy me a made-in-Nigerian vehicle, may cost 25, 28, 30 million, and can the, 110 or whatever, the differential be channeled into constituency project within my constituency? Was I to be a member of the National Assembly, God bears me witness, that is what I will do. In a case where, and bear in mind, I say a made-in-Nigerian vehicle. There are so many made-in-Nigerian vehicles. We have NORD, that is Nord, produced in Ogun State. We have Peugeot, assembled in Kaduna. We have innocent vehicle manufacturing IVM produced in Anambra State. It does not matter. The other day before at the airport, I saw a vehicle called Shangan, I think, in conjunction with Mikano. Very solid car. There is no way that car or that SUV, for that matter, if the craze is for SUV, there's no way that SUV will be over 30, 35 million as opposed to 140 million. That's the figures alone. It just makes your head want to go gaga. So, on that, I stick to that and I say this is what would have been done. Did they get it right there? In my view, no. However, if you come to the budget of Abia State, there is something that I must tell all of us. If you look at the budgets in the Southeast, they've increased. And there is the increase for a reason, because the people in the Southeast are becoming restive. People like me have argued that if we must fix Nigeria, fix the state, we must put more focus on the state and the local government. Because down the Southeast, we are putting their feet to fire. They've gone back now to begin to increase their budget. Do you know that within the Southeast now, the average budget for the first time since any of the state inception, since democracy returned to Nigeria, budget has capital expenditure of over 83%. Capital expenditure.
Sorry, Mazi, what's that a consequence of?
No, that's what the consequence of that is. You don't have so much, you're not overburdened with so much overhead.
Sorry, let me just say this. Where I was leading you to is a throwback to pull forward. The allocations to the states has quadrupled as a result of the fuel subsidy being removed, because the fuel subsidy was accounting for 40% of the country's revenue. So the allocations to the states have quadrupled to the point that the states cannot be a bit more ambitious in their budgeting.
Well, I see where you're just trying to put that because of the fuel subsidy. However, now that's if the figures escape me, I think there was a figure put up by StatiSense on X as to the margin of increment. We can review that later. But where I'm headed to is, if you look at this increment, my dear, you cannot, even when let's put it this way. If you want to argue that it is as a result of this the allocation increasing, I would say no, it's not. Because if you take states like Lagos, for instance, that has about 2.246 trillion, right? And Lagos apparently, in some places, people will argue and tell you Lagos is dragging both local government-wise and population-wise with Kanu. Yet, Kanu has about 360 billion in terms of their, their proposed budget. If your argument is right, what then, or why then did Kanu propose such, juxtaposing it to Lagos, an abysmal projection? It doesn't tally. However, the point here that I want to make is on OT. OT, the budget is about 83% on capital project. Very ambitious. And that is across board. I think Imo State is slightly something close to 84% on capital allocation, right? Or capital, capex. So what I'm saying here is his mechanism of a state that is in debt of 108 billion, shooting it off with an extra borrowing of 400 billion. Now, the argument posited there, which again is left for, like I keep saying, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. The argument is that the critical infrastructure needed for leapfrog was to use these funds to kickstart it. These projects, so be done with these funds, would now generate funds to pay for this money. Now, this is where I beckon everybody from the Southeast and especially those in Abia State to basically take your pen, take your paper, and be at alert. Governance is a collective. Those in the states that have put up these humongous propositions, when so approved and it becomes law, we collectively must hold them to account. Those funds, wherever the project goes, citizens, we must do our job to ensure that no one 419. But again, just like as federal government have done, we have to give them benefit of doubt as to where they want to put their money. While we do that within the federal government, I also urge us so that we go back to the states and do not sleep on these matters. And that is what, how much I think I can, talk about the Abia State projections and their borrowings.
All right, brilliant, excellent. Mazi, check your phone. I sent you a message. Adanoko, are you satisfied with that? Then we're going to Maurice.
Well, repayment of that loan, I don't see how the infrastructure that you are saying is you want to use that loan to build will generate so much to repay the loan.
Yeah, but do you know how the payment is structured? What is the validity and the length of the loan, right? So until you see the what personally up to now I have seen is the highlight, honestly, and let me tell you the truth, I have interest in the projections and what has been put forward by Abia State and Imo State. So I think it might and not necessarily be too wise without really looking, because the devil is in the detail, looking at the granular as to what is in these details. And that's where I believe collectively we should. So sorry, one man, I can't go to my WhatsApp. I think if I do, it would obviously disconnect or rather take me off. But honestly, I've been here for 2.5 hours. I'm getting slightly, it's getting hot in here.
All right. That was my question to you on WhatsApp. How much longer are you able to? Are you able to take about at least 3 more people and then?
Let me take 2 more people and I'll call it a day. It's
all right. The personality we had on yesterday, Ejele Speaks, he rejoins us only really because he's engaged by what you have to say. So with the permission of everyone, let me give Ejele the opportunity to put a question to Mazi, and then we'll round it off with and then we'll round it off with the next contributor. So Ejele, good to see you. Sorry about yesterday. The system broke down and then we couldn't get you back, but you phoned in. So Ejele, let's hear from you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. From Abuja, good morning to everyone, including our guest. Sorry, I couldn't.
Good morning. I've been able to see you in Abuja.
You know Ejele? Okay, good.
Of course, Ejele, I've been meaning to see you in Abuja.
It's 1 a.m. So,
yes.
So my brother, welcome. So, my brother, please let me ask you a question. With the cash crunch and this incessant borrowing, it's not peculiar to Abia State alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because my own state, I'm from Imo State, but I was born in Anambra, and I kind of know Anambra better than Imo State. So I wouldn't exonerate any state, but in Abia State, my problem with basically, I don't think there is an ideological political party in Nigeria. It's a kind of, if you are lucky to get a man who wants to focus on building his state.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So, because in Abia State now, for instance, there is this ecological fund that they didn't talk about. In fact, one of the reasons I don't respect any Nayabaribe is that this man will be posturing as a fighter for his own people, that is at the federal level fighting for his own people. Meanwhile, in his state level, this ecological fund, $56 million. And that was a grant, not as if it was a loan they were going to pay back. We all know that there is no free money. That thing they call grant, those people that brought the money, I'm sure they got some of the oil wells or access to mining sites in Abia State, but that's a story for that day.
Hold on, I'm interested in it. So what happened to it, I beg?
That is what I'm saying now. Obinni Chita, what made him popular was raising ruckus over that money. But since Alex, since Okezie Ikpeazu, whom I hate very well, I don't like him. I don't think he treated his state kindly. But since Okezie Ikpeazu left, I've not heard Obinni Chita say anything about the money. And don't you think to show that with, now this is the question, don't you think that to show a difference between what's now in Abia State, because at the end of the day, we have to see it to believe it. I don't take any politician at face value until I see them deliver. Don't you think that Governor Alex Oti should at least focus on that money and find out how they disbursed it? Because one thing I've come to realize in the politics of the Southeast is that they hardly investigate those that they succeeded. The primary reason being that they themselves may have collected a portion of the money too. So if Alex Oti doesn't have anything in mind, like to loot his own or to let this man free because he wants to do another round on the people, don't you think he should be investigating that money right now, especially that Okezie Ikpeazu freshly left office, of which that money will go a long way in helping Abia State? What do you think about that, sir?
Honestly, Ijele, you said something that is very true, and it's not only within the Southeast. Politicians don't normally want to probe those behind, that they took over from. That, by the way, that's why during the time of Udwaram, Delta State money was missing, and the government of Delta State wrote a letter that their money was not missing until the money came back, and they're saying, give us our money. And the argument was that, but no money was missing. But my take is, I agree with you, because $56 million, according to you, I'm not aware of this, is a humongous amount to ignore. Now, should OT not look into it? Listen, what we must do and intentionally do is, irrespective of party, irrespective of state within the Southeast, even across Nigeria, we citizens must shout whenever we have a lead. And on this, I guarantee you, we must begin to ask questions. We can share my numbers afterwards. Let's ask questions. I don't know anything about this, but it's something that is noteworthy. Where is this money? Has this money been shared? If it has not been shared, which project was it used for? Because I recall there was a time, a couple of years back, 2-3 years ago, I went, going to Isukwato using Uturu. That's the Abia State. That road from Uturu to Isukwato, some of them that head to Igbere or Item uses that road sometimes, and that road is already cut off. That is the ecological site. So such monies could actually put that road to use. So, to your question, honestly, my honest answer is I believe the governor should look for where that money is. It's a grant to the state. He must and should give Ndabia answers to this. And you and I, collectively, all of us here, we must demand that happens. That we will have to know where this money is. If we, just the same way I said about the budgets, telling us billions, trillions, what is being done with this? It is time. The reason why we have what is happening now, you can see crime everywhere, is because people have lost hope. Previously, budgets, we didn't care much. But now we have platforms. Now people can say, oh, until I go to Arise or AIT. But here we are talking about these things, discussing this on our own, because we are the people that has been hurt. If there is any money anywhere, we must collectively, I believe, and ask questions and demand for answers. What would they do? Nobody gives us food. They don't feed you. They don't feed me. Our job is, because this is our region, we have to ask these questions. And it's not an option. If they have, or if they will, they must give us answers, or we'll keep pressing their necks. So I think I would do more research on this. My note says Obin Ichita and the Ecological Fund of $56 million, Then Alex.
Obin Ichita was the State House of Assembly member that revealed it, went live about it.
Okay,
review.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the one that revealed it. I heard it first from him. As far back as 2020.
But Ijele, hold on. You run your platform. Have you tried inviting Obin Ichita to throw more light? If not, I can take it up as well. Maybe beginning of
I have tried to speak with him. We spoke. Then when I told him I wanted to interview him, never heard back from him again. So, and I'm a kind of person that whenever I ask someone, we speak like that, and he gets to speak, making it public, he doesn't want to, I kind of say maybe this one is from the other side, or he doesn't want to tell us the entire truth. I've spoken with him.
All right.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Mazi, with your permission, I'm happy to give Ejele your number off screen if you're happy for me to do that.
No, yeah, my number is out there. Please share. I would want to connect with him too. Please share.
All right. So, Ejele, I'll pass Mazi's question on. Mazi, he's eager to go to bed, but we're not going to let him go to bed until Prince Daddy asks him a question, one, and then he promises us to come back. So, Prince Daddy, you have the final question.
One man, why are you skipping me? What's all this going on?
All right.
One man, and I've been waiting here since quietly.
Okay.
One man, I'll pass.
No.
Thank you.
It's Maurice. It's funny because sometimes when one man does certain things, it's ridiculous and obvious. You called my name, you called 3 people's name, and you turn back. You brought to jail is fine. You turn back, calling Prince Daddy. Is Prince Daddy better than
all right. Settle down.
Everybody love Mazi.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's only because Mazi. It's only because Mazi actually looks physically tired. I would have bullied him to stay longer, but
honestly,
yes.
Warp is going. Maurice, I'm not. If I ask Mazi a question, I'll be biased because I'm already pissed off. I'll use the floor to you. But what I'm just going to say that he's not saying anything new that the common man that can lay his hand on newspaper doesn't know on the street. But I expect him to come and tell me. Don't answer me now. You can take it to Maurice. I expect you to come and tell me the cause of the insecurity in the Southeast, the solution to the insecurity in the Southeast, what the present government are not doing right, and what you think the Southeast can grab hold on, counter that, to use that against them 2027 so they can get to power. But you are here preaching what any common man knows. So I don't understand what you're talking about. But Maurice, I use the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I can only answer questions asked.
Thank you.
So
Yes,
Mazi.
Everybody hold. So Mazi, all that question in abeyance is too big a space to open up now. Maurice, you have with the final interaction, and then Mazi will leave us with closing words. Maurice.
Mazi, good morning. This is Maurice, Imo State, and I'm watching you now from Norway. Okay, but I'm from Imo State. Now, my brother, I want to ask very 3 short and direct, very short and direct question. Number 1, what do you think that this government, Tinubu's government, is putting in economics what they call scale of preference? That means arranging things in order of importance. If you look at the budget, and do you think that there's enough attention on infrastructural development, than instead of frivolities like allocating funds for parties and the First Lady office and all those things? Secondly, why do you think that Labour, like me, I'm extremely disappointed with Labour Party representative? Why do you think they become so numb that they do not, I don't even hear their voice? And that is heart-wrenching, because all of us, we are rooting, and we know how we rooted and fought, and for them to get in there, a lot of them didn't even campaign. But why did they become so numb? And why is P2B not like, I'm not saying he's going to be like a headmaster, but at the same time, why is he not like being that kind of showing that leadership something by calling them together and giving them instruction what to do? Why is he like a bit nonchalant and leaving them, and they are doing nothing and nobody says nothing? Don't you think it's very disappointing to all the obedience who did everything, rain, shine to vote for them, and then they go in there and they become silent, not even one person? And the only man who said something was that Woye. And why did he say that? Because it's something that covers their own interest, not because of public interest, because of committee, who is leading this committee or this and that. No, it's something that concerns them, not the public. So why is P2B not calling them to orders? Why are the whole level quiet and numb? And thirdly, short and direct, please, sir. I'm sorry that I'm making it too long. Do you think in a clean society, decent society, where there is law and order, no impunity and all this kind of system we have, do you think that someone like Tinubu stand the chance to win any election against someone like Peter Obi? Thank you very much.
All right, Mazi.
I think no, I think I think the last question is subjective. Like I said at the beginning, elections are over. Whether Tinubu will win or not win, it's we are where we are already. But I'll put it this way: a former London mayor who incidentally and eventually became the Prime Minister of Britain, that's Boris Johnson, on LBC radio, he had an interview, and I think Nick Livingston, former mayor, there was this interview, and he accused Boris Johnson of not paying the appropriate tax. Now, in Nigeria, this is no crime. In fact, it's not an issue, actually. I mean, we wouldn't concern anybody. But that election, Boris Johnson almost lost that election because of that accusation on a lift. That same evening, not tomorrow, he had to publish all his consulting work, the amount of money earned, the tax paid. You said on a normal country where things work. On a normal country where things work, nobody in the National Assembly should be running your parents, your mother, my mother, your father, my father, your sisters, running them off the road with their nonsense blaring sirens. None of them should have this fleet of cars that they do, V8 engines. But here, obviously, question, you said I make it simple. I said no, because this is what we have. Now, why is Peter Obi keeping quiet? And why is he not speaking? Why is he not calling them like a school principal, scolding them? When he said that, I laughed. He didn't buy phone for them. He's not weekend. So
no, I didn't say he should scold them, at least to give them like advice. Because the obedience are also working.
Listen.
All right.
There are conversations. On that note, there are conversations happening that I'm aware of, that these things are. But at the end of the day, you see, I can't remember who. I don't know if it was Ejele. Somebody said here, there are no political ideologies. Let's not forget that until June this year, 6 months ago. Sorry, until June last year, over a year ago, just roughly 18 months, when Peter moved into Labour Party. Labour Party was like every other party, right? Within the space of 9 months, 8 months, 9 months to the election, was that enough to have built a lot of ideologies that were going, they stand up? Like Ejele said, we still depend on individual goodwill to do what is right and just. And this is sadly, we can all get angry, but that's what it is. And the conversations that Obi has with these individuals, you may never know. But does he have that? I can guarantee you, yes, he does, right? So, I mean, honestly, it's I don't think you may be pained as I am, because sometimes I feel like using koboko. That's just a feeling, but that's where we are. But nothing will stop us from speaking and talking and demanding for good governance, for demanding for what is right. Okay. So, and then the last one is, well,
priorities. Putting priorities first.
Yeah, that one is a very short one. No, they're not getting it right on terms of priority. They're getting it wrong. So it's basically what it is. They're not getting the priority.
Mazi, please,
please. Sorry.
Follow up. One man. Just a minute.
Hold on, Maurice.
Follow up.
No. Hold on. Mazi will come and visit us again, but it's had a long day, and let him just let him address what you've said, and then he'll give us a final speech, and then he'll promise us to come back.
No, I think I've addressed that. You know, One Man, you see, let me put it on record that I'm on your platform for 3 hours. Now is 2 hours, 45 minutes. So let me give you 15 minutes more. I won't die.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Yeah,
All right, brilliant.
One man,
Okay.
let me do the follow-up, please.
Okay, do the follow-up then.
Brief, so that we'll accommodate more.
Yeah, make it,
One man,
make it 15
Mazi, do you think that tribalism is one of the main reasons we never had a very good president, someone who thinks about the country instead of being regionally minded? Do you think that we are so polarized? So the country is so tribalized that it's extremely difficult for us to have one person that thinks about the whole country. And if somebody comes out to say, I want to think about the whole country, that because of the tribalism, how divided we are, that other areas will never believe. Do you think that, please?
I mean, your question is self-evident. Of course, tribalism plays a role, even when good men come out. You know, sometimes, not necessarily in all cases, but tribalism plays a very huge role. And you know, when we talk about tribe, it's you know, especially it's sometimes benumbing to think that we think of Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, and we forget over 200 and something other ethnic groups, even not 300, that they can actually come out, right? And because of the way we've subconsciously structured Nigeria with these three quasi-tripod, every other person does not count. I am from one of the so-called bigger tribes, but when I sit back and reflect, you know, it hurts me. And sometimes I wish there is a way, you know, this nation could basically restructure in order to ensure that those even with lesser votes and you know, in the smaller tribes can actually make it, you know, more that inclusivity can eventually work. There are people who have posited and argued and presented you know, positions like the way you have it in the Schweiz, that is the Switzerland, where you can have a head of state, a president, then you can have a couple of vice presidents in order to rotate, eventually, you know, go around. Some have also advocated for a single tenure of 5 or 6 years. However it is, tribalism has been a thing that have held Nigeria backwards. But again, most times you don't blame the people, because unconsciously, or rather consciously, people know themselves from their tribes before they become Nigeria. Because Nigeria, quote unquote, is an artificial entity, right? Therefore, if anything happens to you, where do you find succor? It is very easy for you to find succor in your tribe as opposed to the super state or the superstructure called Nigeria. If there are places where, like in the case of America, where something happens to you and you see a Superman coming out saying, yes, this is my boy. In cases where we have people stranded abroad, you hear, Benue Association brought the person back. Anambra Association brought the person back. Not the Nigeria Association brought the person back, but their tribe, sort of. And people would then, as a result of the actions, not only spoken, but this is what they live with every day. They see it, they touch it, they feel it. These things give them that, mindset to pander towards tribe. Rwanda is a case in point. A people that have taken calculated decision to make sure that tribe goes down and the spirit of nationalism basically springs up. So if Nigeria must transcend beyond where we are today, we have to be intentional about the actions, the policies, and things that are done in order to create an inclusive and equitable and egalitarian society. Thank you very much. Next question.
All right, brilliant. Prince Daddy, you're up next. Prince Daddy. Prince.
Yeah, thanks, Woman. Hello, everyone. Hello to Mazi
Ezeoke.
Mazi Ezeoke. Yes, hello, welcome. I didn't jump from the beginning, but I know we have a few minutes left, so I was gonna kind of ask a question to follow up on Ecological's extended question earlier. In terms of Peter Obi's I guess I won't call it ideology, but whatever Peter Obi stands for, I think Ecological was trying to prod you to give us some examples, perhaps, and you referred him to X, former Twitter. Not everyone is conversant with Peter Obi or his Twitter or X page. And you being Peter Obi's apologist, why don't you do us a favor? Why don't you do us a favor by telling us if Peter Obi has ideology or what opposition politics does it play, or is it just real politics as usual?
You've asked a question, but you kind of ended it with a set notion of where you want to go by the statement referring me to a Peter Obi apologist who has to go and come and tell you. Now, by that statement, by that use of word, no matter what I say, will definitely mean nothing, to you, without due respect, because I don't think if you already have the mindset of me being an apologist of Peter Obi, then probably my reference, honestly, humbly so, to X, stands that in many occasions he have played and have asked. For instance, if you want, let me just draw one example. When some of these, when the issue of budget came up, he made an argument that some of these funds budgeted for repair of these presidential lodge in Lagos and do the other one, that you can actually match them all together and plunge that into education, because that's where he has passion for. Okay, and the figures, I do not have a full recollection of it now. Obviously, reading a couple of things daily. So I think the figures are there. That's the reason why, so that I do not stand misquoted. That the figures, as the way he presented it, are there. That if you go, we can, if I had 2 phones, while we were talking, I would have put it out and given you the figure. But sadly, it's only one of this phone that is charged up, and I can't touch it while I'm talking to you hands-free.
Sorry, Mazi. Sorry, what I meant was that tell us like an overarching policy or Peter Obi's ideology. And by the way, I may have my own position on matters, but you or anyone with a superior argument should be able to convince me otherwise. So it's not true that my mind is made up. If you have something superior than I do, absolutely, I would listen to you.
I think I've given you the most critical part of the component, which is cost saving, right? Maybe I didn't use that word. I didn't call it that word, cost saving, where you have, instead of going into frivolities, at this point in time, is it a good time to begin to go spending billions renovating a VP house, spending billions to build new one, go into Lagos to renovate a presidential lodge or vice presidential lodge? Is it something that is needed at this point? Could we do better using these funds to shore up our educational budget, for instance? Again, the cardinal point of what he keeps preaching is, run a lean government, make people more accountable, and at the same time, make sure that cost stays down. But I think this is that these key areas that he has actually spoken at is not the forte of this government in question.
All right, Thomas. Thomas.
Yes. Good afternoon again from Victoria in Melbourne, in Australia. My brother, I'm not happy you are leaving. I will not deceive you because I know people still have many things to ask you. I would just employ, yes, I'll just employ you. Just take this
I wish
as
One Man started this program earlier.
Yes.
yes.
I wish.
That's the one thing that kills us is the timing. Yeah, but
yeah, just take this as introduction to us. My brother, I have a lot to ask you. People have a lot to ask you because you've been an enigma on matters of Nigeria. I'll just tell you, may God bless you. That's a vote of thanks. May God bless you and your family. Yeah, thank you so much. Dalu, thank you. Yeah.
All right. Mazi, parting words.
Honestly, one thing I have to tell us is, people, it hurts most times to note that a great nation like Nigeria will still be dwelling on the premise and the plank of potentials. Many of us born in the 70s and those before us in the 60s and 50s would now still be looking at Nigeria and still hearing about potentials. And I say, we can also become a great nation. We can become a great people by loving one another, by please showing down. No one says you have to dislike your ethnic nationality. Of course, Nigeria is a state made of various ethnic nationals. However, in liking and showing up and holding your ethnic nationals responsible, please, let's not hate one another. Let's just please, I beg, know that no matter what, we are within and we are still within one family of the black race, the cradle of human civilization. Therefore, I think it's been a great opportunity and a great privilege to be on this platform, interacting with every one of us. I do not say for 1 second that I know it all, willing to learn. However, let's meddle down on narratives that may haunt generations that we may want to peddle. No matter what we do today, we may think it has got no impact, but please, let's always think about tomorrow. People, I love you all from my heart of heart. It is now about some minutes to 2 o'clock in the morning, and I still have a long way to go tomorrow. But I really enjoyed every bit here. One Man, thank you very much for really, really staying on course to get me to do this. To do this, I had to get Elon Musk internet because in this part of the world, it's almost Christmas, total infrastructure collapse. Most times there is no network. So the reason why this hasn't blinked a bit is because one has moved into using satellite connectivity. But again, it's one of those places that we can still do better as a nation, where we must demand from all our leaders, because our state governors are now telling us, everyone hold the federal government account. I say, no, we must hold you guys to account because they have no excuses. Hold them to account. Why are they not building rails? Because now rail building is no longer in the exclusive list, is now in the current list. Why can't they build power plants? There is no reason. The sky is our limit. So let's hold them to account. Let's demand for better government. You and I, south, east, west, north. We can be governed better, but let's do it democratically. Guys, thank you. Love you all. Good night.
Thank you very much, Mazi, for doing this. Excellent, a real delight. A veritable gentleman, of course. We know him no other than as he presents. A real delightful company. We're sad to let him go, but of course, it's 2 a.m. in the morning and he still has a day. So, Mazi, thank you for being in our company today. And hopefully we'll call on you next time and you you will come and join us again. So that's the excellent Mazi Ezeoke in Gen Media. I'll put a link to his platform. If you want a more expansive narrative of his politics, then please go join him. So thank you, Mazi, for doing this. I'll call you during the day. Thank you. Sleep well.
Thank you very much, bros. Thank you. Enjoy the winter. I wish the way I sweat now. I wish I'm
speaks here, and we're going to hold him hostage whether he likes it or not. So Ejele, Mazi leaves, but you're still here. So you carry on then as the guest of the session. So Ejele, acknowledge you're still there. Ejele speaks.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. I'd rather stay as a floor member anyway.
All right. Okay. So
I want to say something about what Njenje TV said. I think it was before his final word. You see, the issue of Igbo presidency in Nigeria, I've stopped taking seriously anyone whose political conversation is centered around that issue, because obviously it seems they don't understand what we've missed. And there's something Mazi said, which I want to correct. He said the issue of tribalism, that we need to get past it. No, we got past it before. Nnamdi Azikiwe defeated Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe defeated Chief Obafemi Awolowo in the Western region in an election. A Fulani man, I think it was either from Sokoto or where, was the mayor of Enugu when we had a mayoral seat in Enugu, was the mayor of Enugu around, I think it was either 56 or 58. So it's not as if we are moving, we are not, it's that we are going to grow into it. No, we've gone past it before until people decided to infuse tribalism into our politics. Then he made mention of when people said 5 years rotational presidency, but it's like he didn't have enough time to explain it better. The people that were against, very vociferous against the 1995 constitution, which they termed the Abacha constitution, number one were people from the Southeast. And what did the constitution say? Rotational presidency, a single tenure of 5 years for everybody. Then, if the presidency goes to the north, the VP will go to the south. And it must go around the 6 geopolitical zones. But at the end of the day, our people scuttled that, of which by now, there is nothing that would have made it impossible for an Igbo man to have become either the president or the VP. Yet, the same group of people who torpedoed that idea are still in charge of leadership in the Southeast. You see why I tell people that it's a very long haul to fix the political predicament of the Southeast. And one more thing about the rotational presidency is this. They ran a heavy propaganda that so many people were turned off, especially in the Southeast and the South-South. The Southwest, not so much. Even though Abacha had his people in the Southeast, but the core political machines were against him. And that disdain built on hatred is exactly what is keeping Igbo where we are today in politics. So let's just try and educate ourselves on the politics of Nigeria and why people found themselves here. And somebody contacted me today. This is like going back to what said yesterday. He said that some people are saying by faith that what I said about this generation, this and that. I want them to understand that whatever this generation is passing through, I'm focusing on the Southeast now, which is the same thing in other regions, is a product of the activities, the actions and inactions of the leaders of the past from at least 1970 to date. I will be deceiving myself if I'm coming here to just give you hope. I hate selling hope to people because I believe that every societal problem has a root somewhere. If you have not gotten to the root and solve it, you can't. Okay, you see how. So anyway, let me just pause here because I didn't want to speak about the guest because it's no longer here. Probably wait.
Let me ask you this. Just it's still in the rounds of the conversations that we're having. So we're talking about ethnicity. Do you think ethnicity was especially amplified in the course of this particular election, this 23? Do you think it was especially amplified? And if you do you think it was because it was a Wazobia election and it was an inevitability that ethnicity will come into play?
It's not necessarily about Wazobia. If you notice, politics has been morphing into different things in different regions. The division you have in the Southeast today is because of the dirty politics that people adopted from 1999. And this 2023 election, you just saw the manifestation of the IPOB destructive propaganda. It all came to a head in the past election. I'm not saying that the Southeast is the only place people play tribal politics, but the Southeast is the only place that such politics takes preeminence. No, most people from the region are either denying it or they are not seeing it. Apart from tribalism, they infuse religion into it, of which they were projecting the political reality of the Southeast on the whole of Nigeria. If you notice, it turned so many people off and continues to turn them off. I always
Ijela, I would like to
tell
interject, please.
all right.
When you say that Southeast IPOB this and that, and also introduce religion into it. Now, were you still in the country? Were you still in the country, or did you hear what the narrative coming out from Lagos State, Ananoga, and all those people that said that everybody who is not Yoruba or Igbo should not come out to vote? Did you hear that, or you were completely deaf to that?
Please use your mind your choice of words. Like I said, you IPOB people, I don't like how most of you speak, and actually I don't have respect for most of you. Maybe we'll pass the question to someone else. Meanwhile, I will start from what I was saying. So now, in the Southeast, the anti-Fulani hatred they were selling, if you check from 2015, the hit on the Yorubas soft pedal after and days leading to the 2019 general election. And when I look around social media on political platforms, I know where the tribal and ethnic politics takes hold, and is the Southeast and the South-South. Almost every propaganda spread against President Ashwaju Bola Ahmed came from just one broadcast, one IPOB broadcast by Nnamdi Kanu himself. Whether a drug deal or certificate or age or where he's from or he's Guinean and all those things. You find out that that evil seed permeated the consciousness of so many people, and they started reflecting it. It's on their tweets, it's on their broadcast, and that thing has moved Ndigbo further back, whether people want to accept this or not. So many things. It was within Nnamdi Kanu's fake reign in the minds of people who can't think for themselves that we saw that a man was taken before one of these fake deities. Is their juju nonsense they are doing? Of course, that one is not only in the southeast; there are most places in the south. The man was made to swear before that deity that he had no hand in selling a land to a northerner. What? Have you gone to Kaduna? Have you gone to Kano? Have you gone to Sokoto? Have you gone to Zamfara? Have you gone to Kebbi? Name any place in the north that you go to the state capital and you don't see Ndigbo overwhelmingly dominating all the middle class areas, all the nice places. Of course, they invested their own money there. No one gave them. You don't begrudge them. But how do you square a group of people being the most scattered in the country, and at the same time being the same place someone was made to swear an oath that he had no hand in selling land to a foreigner? Many people have not understood the damage these people did on the southeast. Believe me, you see, if not all those things, I understand when DDP people gathered and didn't zone that their ticket to the southeast, but I believe they should have just left it in the south. But the reason they can't risk a southeasterner is that any political party that failed, I said it before the election, this is not something in fact I have other posts. I even wrote it in a book that I published, but I'm not selling it yet. Before the election, I wrote it, I said, any party that feels an Igbo man will never get 1% of the vote in any state in the northeast and the northwest. These are two regions you must win if you want to be the president of Nigeria. At the end of the election, no autopsy was done. And we are back to, oh, they are marginalizing us. They don't want an Igbo man to be president. No one stops an Igbo man from running for the presidency, but we just have to learn how to coexist with people and play good, sound politics. There is no clean politics in Nigeria, but all this blatant propaganda, spreading of falsehood, insulting people who never did you anything, got to stop. If not, nothing will change. Thank you, bro.
All right, brilliant. Who wants to come into the conversation? So it's an open floor session now, so anybody can just come in.
Let me go. First, let me thank Ejele for, I think Ejele answered my first question. And also, let me also appreciate Mazi, the guest. He's an eloquent speaker.
Mazi Ezeoke.
Mazi Ezeoke. He's an eloquent speaker. He's someone who would do very well in Nigerian politics. He knows